In the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers nourished the Fertile Crescent, the city of Uruk stood as a beacon of human ingenuity and ambition. Its towering walls, adorned with intricate carvings, shielded a bustling metropolis of merchants, artisans, and scholars. At its helm ruled Gilgamesh, a demigod king whose very name echoed with power and legend. Born of a divine mother, the goddess Ninsun, and a mortal king, Lugalbanda, Gilgamesh possessed an extraordinary lineage. He was two-thirds god and one-third human, a duality that manifested in his physical prowess and his insatiable thirst for glory. His towering figure, sculpted by the gods themselves, exuded an aura of authority and charisma that captivated all who beheld him. But Gilgamesh's divine heritage also proved to be his undoing. The mortal world, with its finite pleasures and fleeting triumphs, could not satisfy his yearning for more. He sought to transcend the limitations of his human existence, to leave an indelible mark on the world that would resonate through the ages. Driven by this insatiable ambition, he embarked on a relentless quest for power and immortality. Under his reign, Uruk underwent a remarkable transformation. Gilgamesh, driven by a vision of unparalleled grandeur, initiated a series of ambitious projects that pushed the boundaries of human endeavor. He commissioned the construction of towering ziggurats, their spiraling steps reaching towards the heavens, as if to bridge the gap between the earthly and the divine. He fortified the city's walls, making them impenetrable to any would-be invader. He oversaw the creation of lush gardens, where exotic plants and fragrant flowers bloomed in defiance of the harsh desert sun. The people of Uruk, inspired by their king's vision, toiled tirelessly to realize his grand designs. But as the city's splendor grew, so too did the burden on its inhabitants. Gilgamesh's demands became increasingly onerous, his ambition blinding him to the suffering of his people. The once vibrant city began to groan under the weight of his relentless pursuit of glory. The gods, watching from their celestial realm, grew concerned by Gilgamesh's excesses. They had bestowed upon him extraordinary gifts, but his unchecked ambition threatened to upset the delicate balance between the divine and mortal realms. To temper his arrogance and teach him the value of humility, they fashioned a wild man from the clay of the earth, Enkidu. Enkidu, untamed and unburdened by the complexities of civilization, roamed the wilderness. He lived among the animals, sharing their primal instincts and unbridled spirit. His strength rivaled Gilgamesh's, but his heart remained pure, untouched by the corrosive influence of power. He was a creature of instinct, guided by the rhythms of nature and the wisdom of the wild. A chance encounter with a hunter, troubled by Enkidu's disruption of his traps, set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of their lives. The hunter sought the counsel of a wise temple priestess, Shamhat, who recognized the divine hand at play. She saw in Enkidu the potential to challenge Gilgamesh's dominance and restore balance to the kingdom. Shamhat, renowned for her beauty and wisdom, journeyed to the untamed wilderness to meet Enkidu. With patience and understanding, she initiated him into the ways of humanity. She shared the pleasures of love, the comforts of clothing, and the sustenance of cooked food. Enkidu, captivated by her teachings, embraced his newfound humanity. But as he did, he gradually shed some of his raw power and connection to the natural world, a sacrifice demanded by the relentless march of civilization. The hunter, seizing his opportunity, lured Enkidu to the bustling metropolis of Uruk. News of this wild man reached Gilgamesh, igniting a spark of curiosity and a premonition of impending conflict. The two were destined to meet, their clash a testament to the eternal struggle between nature and civilization, ambition and contentment, the wild and the tamed. Word of Enkidu's arrival spread like wildfire through the streets of Uruk. The citizens, weary of Gilgamesh's tyrannical rule, saw in the wild man a glimmer of hope. They whispered of his strength, his untamed spirit, and his connection to the natural world. They believed he was destined to challenge their king, to break the chains of oppression that had bound them for so long. Gilgamesh, his curiosity piqued by the tales of this formidable stranger, eagerly awaited their encounter. He saw in Enkidu a reflection of his own untamed youth, a reminder of the primal instincts that he had suppressed in his relentless pursuit of power and glory. He sensed that their meeting would be a pivotal moment, a clash of titans that would shake the very foundations of Uruk. As fate would have it, their paths crossed in the heart of the city, near the sacred temple of Ishtar, the goddess of love and war. The air crackled with anticipation as the two demigods locked eyes, their gazes burning with a mixture of curiosity, defiance, and a primal recognition of their shared strength. What followed was a battle of epic proportions. Gilgamesh, fueled by his thirst for dominance, unleashed a torrent of blows upon Enkidu. The wild man, drawing upon his innate connection to the earth and its creatures, fought back with ferocious intensity. The ground trembled beneath their feet, buildings shook, and the terrified citizens scattered in all directions. The clash of their fists echoed through the streets, a symphony of raw power and unbridled aggression. They grappled and wrestled, their bodies locked in a fierce embrace. Gilgamesh, drawing upon his divine heritage, seemed to have the upper hand, his blows landing with greater force and precision. But Enkidu, fueled by his primal instincts and his unwavering determination, refused to yield. As the battle raged, a strange transformation began to take place. The initial hostility that had fueled their confrontation gradually gave way to a grudging respect. Gilgamesh, accustomed to effortless victories, found himself facing an opponent who matched him blow for blow. Enkidu, who had never before encountered a being of such immense power, recognized in Gilgamesh a kindred spirit, a fellow traveler on the arduous path of self-discovery. In the end, neither could claim victory. Exhausted but exhilarated, they collapsed to the ground, their bodies entwined in a tangle of sweat and dust. As they lay there, catching their breath, a silent understanding passed between them. They had seen in each other a reflection of their own strengths and weaknesses, their aspirations and their fears. In that moment, a bond was forged, a brotherhood born of mutual respect and shared experience. Gilgamesh, humbled by the encounter, extended his hand to Enkidu. The wild man, his heart touched by this gesture of reconciliation, accepted it without hesitation. From that day forth, Gilgamesh and Enkidu were inseparable. They roamed the streets of Uruk together, their laughter echoing through the once silent alleyways. They shared stories of their past exploits, their dreams for the future, and their deepest fears and anxieties. They challenged each other, pushed each other to their limits, and celebrated each other's triumphs. Their friendship became a beacon of hope for the people of Uruk. They saw in Gilgamesh and Enkidu a model for a new kind of leadership, one based on mutual respect, cooperation, and a shared commitment to the well-being of the community. The once tyrannical king began to soften his harsh rule, listening to the counsel of his newfound friend and heeding the pleas of his subjects. Together, they embarked on a series of daring adventures, their exploits becoming the stuff of legend. They ventured into the depths of the cedar forest, where they confronted the fearsome guardian, Humbaba. They braved the wrath of the goddess Ishtar, who sought to ensnare Gilgamesh in her seductive web, and they grappled with the profound mysteries of life, death, and the elusive quest for immortality. The scent of cedar hung heavy in the air, a mix of resinous sweetness and ancient power. Gilgamesh and Enkidu had finally reached the edge of the forbidding forest, its towering trees casting long, ominous shadows that danced and writhed in the dim light. The path before them was shrouded in mist, obscuring the unknown dangers that awaited them. Enkidu, his senses attuned to the rhythms of the natural world, felt a tremor of unease. He knew that the cedar forest was not merely a collection of trees, but a living entity, imbued with the spirit of the gods and the wisdom of the ages. It was a place where mortals tread lightly, lest they incur the wrath of its fearsome guardian, Humbaba. Gilgamesh, however, remained resolute. His heart burned with ambition, his mind consumed with visions of the magnificent gate he would construct from the sacred cedar wood. He saw this quest not as a desecration, but as a tribute to the gods, a testament to his own power and ingenuity. Together, they ventured into the heart of the forest, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of needles that covered the ground. The trees grew taller and thicker with each step, their branches interlacing overhead to form a natural canopy that blocked out the sun. The air grew still and oppressive, the silence broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant call of an unseen bird. As they pressed deeper into the forest, they encountered a series of trials that tested their courage and their resolve. Venomous snakes slithered through the undergrowth, their fangs dripping with deadly poison. Ferocious beasts, their eyes glowing with predatory hunger, stalked them from the shadows. Thorny thickets tore at their skin, leaving bloody trails in their wake. But Gilgamesh and Enkidu faced each challenge with unwavering determination. They fought back against the beasts, using their swords and spears to dispatch their attackers. They relied on their knowledge of herbs and antidotes to neutralize the venom of the snakes. They bandaged their wounds, gritted their teeth, and pressed on. Throughout their journey, they found solace and strength in their friendship. Gilgamesh, accustomed to solitude and self-reliance, learned to trust in Enkidu's instincts and rely on his knowledge of the natural world. Enkidu, who had always lived a solitary life, found comfort in Gilgamesh's unwavering loyalty and unwavering belief in their shared destiny. Their conversations, once filled with boasts and challenges, now turned to deeper reflections on life, death, and the meaning of existence. They spoke of their hopes and dreams, their fears and regrets, and their shared desire to leave a lasting legacy. They found solace in each other's company, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. As they approached the heart of the cedar forest, they could feel Humbaba's presence growing stronger. The very air seemed to hum with an ominous energy, the trees whispering warnings in the wind. They knew that they were nearing their final confrontation, a battle that would determine not only the fate of their quest, but also the future of their friendship. The heart of the cedar forest was a realm unlike any other. Sunlight barely pierced the thick canopy of leaves, casting the forest floor in an eternal twilight. The air hung heavy with the scent of resin, and the whispers of ancient spirits. Here, at the threshold of Humbaba's domain, the very earth seemed to tremble with anticipation. Humbaba, the monstrous guardian appointed by the god Enlil, emerged from the shadows, his form a grotesque fusion of man and tree. His face was a gnarled mask of bark and moss, his eyes burning with an eerie emerald fire. With each thunderous step, the ground shook, and the trees themselves seemed to recoil in fear. Gilgamesh and Enkidu, undeterred by the guardian's fearsome appearance, drew their weapons. They had journeyed too far, sacrificed too much, to turn back now. The desire for glory, for the immortal fame that only the defeat of Humbaba could bring, burned within them. The battle that ensued was a clash of titans. Humbaba, wielding the power of the forest itself, unleashed a barrage of attacks. He summoned forth storms of razor-sharp leaves, conjured whirlwinds that threatened to tear the heroes asunder, and even caused the earth to split open, attempting to swallow them whole. But Gilgamesh and Enkidu, united in their purpose, fought back with the ferocity of cornered lions. Gilgamesh's axe, forged by the gods, bit deep into Humbaba's bark-like hide, while Enkidu's spear, honed to a deadly point, pierced the guardian's exposed flesh. The forest became a maelstrom of violence. The air throbbed with the clash of steel on wood, the roar of the monster, and the defiant cries of the heroes. Gilgamesh, drawing upon his divine strength, landed blow after blow, each one chipping away at Humbaba's resilience. Enkidu, with his hunter's cunning, exploited the guardian's blind spots, inflicting wounds that sapped his power. As Humbaba weakened, his attacks grew more desperate. He spewed forth a torrent of venomous bile, hoping to poison his adversaries. He summoned forth swarms of stinging insects, their venomous bites inflicting agonizing pain. But Gilgamesh and Enkidu, driven by their unyielding will, endured the onslaught. Finally, with a mighty roar, Humbaba collapsed, his massive body shaking the very earth as it fell. The forest fell silent, the only sound the labored breathing of the victorious heroes. They stood over their fallen foe, their bodies battered and bloodied, but their spirits soaring with triumph. Their victory, however, was short-lived. As they emerged from the cedar forest, laden with their precious cargo of cedar wood, they encountered a new threat: Ishtar, the goddess of love and war. Smitten with Gilgamesh's beauty and prowess, she offered him her hand in marriage, promising him wealth, power, and eternal devotion. But Gilgamesh, mindful of Ishtar's fickle nature and her reputation for destroying those who spurned her advances, rejected her proposal. Enraged by his refusal, Ishtar unleashed the Bull of Heaven, a monstrous creature whose very presence brought drought and famine to the land. Gilgamesh and Enkidu, once again called upon to defend their city, faced the bull with their usual valor. After a fierce struggle, they managed to slay the beast, its massive body crashing to the ground, its horns splintering into 1,000 pieces. Ishtar, her pride wounded and her anger unabated, sought vengeance. She cursed Enkidu, inflicting him with a wasting disease that slowly robbed him of his strength and vitality. The once mighty wild man was reduced to a shadow of his former self, his body racked with pain, his spirit broken. Gilgamesh, devastated by his friend's suffering, watched helplessly as Enkidu's life slipped away. The curse of Ishtar had shattered their bond, leaving Gilgamesh to face the harsh reality of mortality and the bitter sting of loss. Enkidu's death shattered Gilgamesh's world. The king, who had once seemed invincible, was now consumed by a profound grief and an all-consuming fear of his own mortality. He saw in his friend's fate a chilling reflection of his own destiny, a stark reminder that even the mightiest heroes were not immune to the ravages of time and the inevitability of death. Driven by despair and a desperate longing for eternal life, Gilgamesh embarked on a perilous journey to the ends of the earth. He sought out Utnapishtim, the wise sage who had survived the Great Flood and been granted immortality by the gods. He crossed treacherous mountains, braved scorching deserts, and navigated through dark and forbidding forests, his resolve unwavering, his spirit fueled by a desperate hope. After a long and arduous journey, Gilgamesh finally reached the shores of the waters of death. There, he met the ferryman Urshanabi, who reluctantly agreed to guide him across the treacherous waters to the hidden island where Utnapishtim resided. Utnapishtim, a weathered figure with eyes that had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, listened patiently as Gilgamesh poured out his anguish and his yearning for immortality. He recounted the trials he had faced, the friends he had lost, and the relentless fear that gnawed at his soul. But Utnapishtim, wise in the ways of the gods and the nature of human existence, offered no easy answers. He explained that immortality was not a gift to be bestowed lightly, but a burden to be borne with great responsibility. He challenged Gilgamesh to confront his fears, to accept the limitations of his mortal existence, and to find meaning in the fleeting moments of joy and sorrow that life offered. He told Gilgamesh the story of the Great Flood, a cataclysmic event that had wiped out most of humanity. He revealed how he had been chosen by the gods to build an ark and preserve the seeds of life, ensuring the continuation of the human race. But he also emphasized that the flood had been a unique event, a divine intervention that would never be repeated. Gilgamesh, disappointed but not discouraged, pleaded with Utnapishtim to share the secret of eternal life. The sage, seeing the depth of the king's despair, offered him a final challenge. He told Gilgamesh of a magical plant, the plant of youth, which grew at the bottom of the sea. If Gilgamesh could retrieve it and consume it, he would regain his youthful vigor and be granted a reprieve from death. With renewed hope, Gilgamesh plunged into the depths of the sea, his lungs burning, his muscles aching. He battled fierce currents, evaded monstrous sea creatures, and endured the crushing pressure of the deep. Finally, his fingers grasped the precious plant, its leaves shimmering with a mystical light. He returned to the surface, triumphant, clutching the plant of youth in his hands. But as he journeyed back to Uruk, weariness overcame him. He stopped to bathe in a cool spring, leaving the plant unguarded on the bank. A serpent, drawn by the plant's sweet fragrance, slithered out of the undergrowth and devoured it, shedding its skin and renewing its life in the process. Gilgamesh, awakened by the serpent's hiss, was overcome with despair. The hope that had sustained him throughout his long and arduous journey evaporated in an instant. He had come so close, only to have his dreams snatched away at the last moment. Broken and defeated, Gilgamesh returned to Uruk, the weight of his mortality pressing heavily upon him. But as he gazed upon the city he had built, the walls he had fortified, and the gardens he had cultivated, he realized that his legacy would endure long after he was gone. He had not achieved immortality, but he had created something lasting, something that would continue to inspire and uplift generations to come. In the end, Gilgamesh found solace not in the elusive promise of eternal life, but in the acceptance of his own mortality. He recognized that the true measure of a life was not its length, but its depth, its impact on the world, and the love and friendship it had nurtured.